Welcome to the world of science fiction, where extraordinary tales and boundless imagination come to life. Enjoy the story and don't forget to subscribe. The sun, a molten orb in the cerulean sky, cast long, dancing shadows across Justin's secluded meadow. He held the pose, warrior too, his muscles screaming in protest, but his mind serene. The air, crisp and clean, filled his lungs with each measured breath. This small patch of earth, untouched by the digital plague that had swept over the planet, was his sanctuary. A place where reality reigned supreme, where the touch of the wind and the scent of wildflowers were not simulated sensations but tangible truths. Justin exhaled, easing out of the pose, a sheen of sweat glistening on his tanned skin. He surveyed his domain, a vibrant green expanse bordered by the skeletal remains of a once thriving city. The digital exodus, the mass migration into virtual reality, had left these urban landscapes barren, monuments to a forgotten era. But here, in his meadow, life persisted. Nature, resilient and indomitable, had begun to reclaim what was lost, weaving its verdant tapestry over the concrete and steel. A ripple in the air, a distortion of light, caught his attention. He squinted, his heart pounding a primal rhythm against his ribs. It wasn't the usual shimmering mirage caused by the heat, this was something different. Two figures materialized, shimmering like heat haze, before solidifying into beings unlike any he had ever seen. They were women, tall and slender, with skin the color of a twilight sky, a mesmerizing shade of azure. Their eyes, large and almond-shaped, glowed with an inner luminescence, and their features possessed an ethereal beauty that seemed almost otherworldly. They were clad in shimmering, form-fitting suits that appeared to flow and adapt to their movements. Holy! Justin muttered, his mind struggling to reconcile what he was seeing with any semblance of reality. Were they some advanced form of AI projection, or had he finally succumbed to the isolation and cracked? He pinched himself, hard. The pain was real. This was happening. The taller of the two, her eyes a vibrant violet, took a hesitant step forward. Her voice, when she spoke, was like the chime of distant bells, melodic yet tinged with a hint of uncertainty. "Greetings, Earth creature," she said, her gaze fixed on him with an intensity that made him feel both exposed and strangely intrigued. "We are La and Palia of the Zarian Empire. We come in peace." Justin let out a nervous chuckle, running a hand through his sun-bleached hair. "Well, that's a relief. I'd hate to have to defend Earth in my yoga pants." He gave them a lopsided grin, noting the bewildered expressions on their faces. "I'm Justin. Welcome to what's left of humanity's playground." La and Palia exchanged a fleeting glance, a silent conversation passing between them. It was as if they were communicating on a level beyond spoken language, a connection that transcended the barriers of species and worlds. The shorter one, Palia, her eyes a captivating shade of emerald green, spoke up, her voice softer than her sister's. You are real. A living human." Justin couldn't resist a touch of theatricality. He puffed out his chest and patted his, admittedly toned, abs. "Last time I checked. 100% genuine Homo sapiens, at your service." The alien twins' jaws dropped in perfect unison. La gasped, her chest rising and falling rapidly. "Impossible. Our records indicated that Earth's population had succumbed to virtual stasis centuries ago." Justin's smile faded slightly, replaced by a melancholic shadow. "Yeah, well, most of them did. I'm one of the few holdouts who chose reality over fantasy." He gestured towards the overgrown ruins in the distance. "It's not always easy, but someone's got to keep the lights on, you know." Palia tilted her head, her emerald eyes shimmering with curiosity. "You deliberately eschewed the comforts of simulated paradise? For what purpose?" Justin shrugged, suddenly feeling self-conscious under their intense scrutiny. "To live, I guess. Really live. Feel the sun, smell the grass, push my body to its limits." He grinned again, unable to resist a bit of playful flirtation. Meet beautiful alien women who fall from the sky. To his surprise, both La and Palia blushed, their azure skin darkening to a deeper shade of sapphire. La cleared her throat, regaining her composure. Your planet was once renowned throughout the galaxy for its sensual pleasures. We had assumed such things were lost to time. Oh, honey, Justin drawled, a mischievous glint in his eyes. You ain't seen nothing yet. But first things first, you ladies look like you could use a snack. How about some good old-fashioned Earth hospitality? He led them towards a nearby fruit tree, its branches laden with ripe, juicy peaches. The twins watched in fascination as Justin plucked the fruit, his movements fluid and practiced. Go on, he encouraged, offering them each a peach. I promise they won't bite back. La and Palia hesitantly accepted the fruit, their delicate fingers brushing against Justin's calloused hands. They sniffed the peaches cautiously, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Finally, they took tentative nibbles. The effect was instantaneous. Their eyes widened in shock, then fluttered closed in pure bliss. Soft moans of pleasure escaped their lips as they devoured the peaches with increasing enthusiasm. Justin watched, mesmerized by their reactions. He'd never seen anyone get so worked up over fruit before. It was, he had to admit, kind of hot. Good, huh? He asked, his voice a little huskier than intended. Palia nodded vigorously, licking her fingers clean. I have never experienced such intensity of flavor. Our nutrition capsules pale in comparison. Nutrition capsules. Justin's eyebrows shot up. Oh, man, you poor things. We've got a lot of work to do. La finished her peach, her expression growing serious. Justin of Earth, while we are grateful for your hospitality, I fear we cannot linger. We came only to bear witness to your world's final state before entering our own cryosleep. Justin's heart sank. Cryosleep? But you just got here. And it sounds like you could use a vacation, if you ask me. La's shoulders slumped, her usual stoicism faltering. Our civilization is dying, Justin. We have searched the stars for compatible mates, for a way to reignite the passion that once defined our species, but we have found only disappointment. So you're just giving up? Justin couldn't keep the incredulity from his voice. Putting yourselves on ice and hoping for the best. La's eyes flashed with a mixture of anger and sorrow. You cannot understand. We have exhausted every option, every. Justin interrupted, his tone gentler than his words. You haven't tried everything. You haven't tried Earth. The twins stared at him, confusion evident on their lovely features. Justin ran a hand through his hair, searching for the right words. Look. I get it. The universe can be a cold, lonely place. But giving up? That's not living, that's just existing. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what he was about to propose. Stay. Just for a little while. Let me show you what it means to really feel alive. La and Palia exchanged another of their silent looks. Justin could practically see the wheels turning in their heads, weighing the risks against the potential rewards. Finally, Palia spoke, her voice barely a whisper. What exactly did you have in mind, Justin of Earth? A slow grin spread across Justin's face, illuminating his features with a spark of mischievous hope. Oh, you know, a little of this, a little of that. Swimming in crystal-clear lakes, watching the sunset paint the sky, dancing under the stars. He winked. Maybe even a back rub or two, if you're lucky. La's cheeks darkened again, but there was a spark of interest in her eyes. And you believe these activities could reignite our passion for life? Justin's grin softened as he looked at the two beautiful, lost souls before him. I think it's worth a shot. What have you got to lose? Another moment of silent communication passed between the twins. Then, as one, they turned to Justin with tentative smiles. "Very well, Justin of Earth," La said, her voice laced with a newfound determination. "We accept your offer. Show us what it truly means to live." Justin's heart soared. He hadn't realized how much he'd been craving companionship until this moment. "Ladies," he said with an exaggerated bow, "you won't regret it. Now, who's up for a swim?" As he led them towards his favorite swimming hole, Justin couldn't shake the feeling that his life was about to get a whole lot more interesting. And maybe, just maybe, he could save these alien beauties from a frozen fate. Little did he know, La and Palia were harboring similar thoughts about their charming human host. The adventure was only beginning. Justin's bare feet slapped against the sun-warmed rocks as he led La and Palia down the winding path to his favorite swimming hole. The alien twins followed close behind, their graceful movements belying their obvious curiosity about their surroundings. "Watch your step here," Justin called over his shoulder, pointing out a particularly treacherous section of the trail. "These rocks can be slippery." No sooner had the words left his mouth than Palia let out a startled yelp. Justin whirled around just in time to see her lose her footing on a moss-covered stone. Without thinking, he lunged forward, catching her in his arms before she could hit the ground. Time seemed to stand still as their eyes met. Justin became acutely aware of Palia's soft curves pressed against his chest, her skin cool to the touch despite the warm day. A faint, intoxicating scent, something like lilacs and stardust, filled his nostrils. "Are you all right?" he asked, his voice rougher than intended. Palia blinked rapidly, a deeper shade of blue creeping up her neck. "Yes, thank you, Justin." He set her back on her feet, immediately missing the contact. La watched the exchange with an unreadable expression, her violet eyes narrowed slightly. "Perhaps we should proceed with more caution," La suggested, a hint of something in her tone, jealousy. Protectiveness? Justin couldn't quite place it. "Right," he agreed, clearing his throat. "We're almost there anyway. You're going to love this place." A few minutes later, they emerged from the tree-line into a secluded cove. A small waterfall cascaded down moss-covered rocks, feeding into a crystal-clear pool surrounded by lush vegetation. The late afternoon sun dappled the water's surface, creating a mesmerizing dance of light and shadow. "By the stars," La breathed, her earlier reservations forgotten. "It's beautiful." Justin beamed with pride. "Wait till you feel how good the water is. Last one in's a rotten egg." Before the twins could react, he stripped off his shirt and dove headfirst into the pool. He surfaced a moment later, shaking water from his hair like a dog. "Come on in," he called. "The water's perfect." La and Palia exchanged uncertain glances. "We do not have appropriate attire for aquatic activities," La explained hesitantly. Justin laughed. "Who needs swimsuits? It's just us out here. Live a little." The twins' eyes widened in shock. "You suggest we disrobe entirely?" Palia squeaked. "Why not?" Justin shrugged, treading water. "Nothing I haven't seen before. Well, okay, maybe not quite like you two, but you get the idea. No judgment here." He could practically see the internal struggle playing out on their faces. Finally, Palia squared her shoulders and began unfastening her form-fitting bodysuit. "Sister." La hissed. "What are you doing?" Palia paused, her suit half undone. "We came here to experience life, did we not? To rediscover passion and pleasure." She cast a shy glance at Justin. "I, for one, am curious to feel this perfect water on my skin." La's mouth opened and closed several times, but no words came out. With a resigned sigh, she began removing her own clothing. Justin politely averted his eyes as the twins undressed, giving them a modicum of privacy. When he heard twin splashes, he turned to see La and Palia surfacing near him, their blue skin glistening in the sunlight. "Well," he asked, grinning. What's the verdict? Palia let out a delighted laugh, spinning in a graceful circle. It's wonderful. So cool and refreshing. Even La couldn't hide her smile. I must admit, this is quite invigorating. Told you, Justin said with a wink. Now, who wants to see who can hold their breath the longest? The next hour passed in a blur of laughter, splashing, and increasingly ridiculous competitions. Justin taught the twins how to float on their backs, marveling at how quickly they took to the water. He tried not to stare at their lithe, athletic bodies, but it was a losing battle. As the sun began to dip towards the horizon, they reluctantly climbed out of the pool. Justin tossed them each a soft towel he'd stashed nearby. So, he said, running the towel through his hair, what did you think of your first Earth swim? Palia's eyes shone with excitement. It was exhilarating. I've never felt so alive. La nodded in agreement, though her expression was more reserved. It was certainly a novel experience. Though I fear we may have been rather immodest. Justin chuckled. Trust me, modesty is overrated. Besides, you've got nothing to be ashamed of. He immediately regretted the words as both twins fixed him with intense stares. I mean, you know what I mean. Who's hungry? I make a mean campfire dinner. As they dressed and gathered their things, Justin couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. He'd managed to coax these reserved alien beauties out of their shells, if only for a little while. It was a start. But as they hiked back towards his camp, a nagging worry gnawed at the back of his mind. What would happen when their visit came to an end? Could he really let them go back to their dying world, to sleep away eternity in cryopods? Justin pushed the thought aside. He had time. Time to show La and Palia everything Earth had to offer. Time to make them fall in love with life again. And maybe, just maybe, time for them to fall in love with him, too. As the trio approached Justin's camp, the scent of wood smoke and roasting vegetables filled the air. Justin had prepared a simple feast, corn on the cob, baked potatoes, and skewers of colorful bell peppers and mushrooms, all cooking over a crackling fire. Welcome to Chez Justin, he announced with a flourish. Earth cuisine at its finest. La and Palia exchanged uncertain glances. It smells intriguing, La ventured. Justin chuckled. Just wait till you taste it. Here, let me show you how it's done. He demonstrated how to shuck the corn, explaining the process as he worked. The twins watched in fascination, their delicate blue fingers mimicking his movements. Like this? Palia asked, holding up a perfectly shucked ear of corn. Exactly. Justin beamed. You're a natural. La frowned, her own attempt looking decidedly messier. I fail to see the purpose of such inefficient food preparation. The purpose? Justin raised an eyebrow. It's fun. Plus, food always tastes better when you work for it a little. As they settled around the fire to eat, Justin couldn't help but notice how the flickering flames cast an ethereal glow on the twins' azure skin. Palia eagerly bit into her corn, her eyes widening in delight. Oh, she exclaimed. It's so crisp and sweet. La was more hesitant, delicately nibbling at a bell pepper. The textures are quite varied, she observed. Not unpleasant, but unfamiliar. Justin grinned. That's the beauty of real food. Every bite's an adventure. As they ate, Justin regaled them with stories of his life on Earth, his decision to reject virtual reality, his struggles to maintain a semblance of civilization, and the joys he discovered in embracing the natural world. But don't you get lonely? Palia asked, her violet eyes shimmering with empathy. Justin's smile faltered for a moment. Sometimes, he admitted. But then I remember all the people trapped in their VR pods, missing out on real experiences. I'd rather be lonely and alive than lost in a fake paradise. La tilted her head, studying him intently. Intriguing, Justin. Law's voice cut through the crackling fire. But what sustains you beyond mere survival? What purpose drives you in this desolate world? Justin leaned back against a fallen log, his gaze drifting upwards to the star-dusted sky. Purpose is a funny thing, he mused. I used to think it was about achieving something grand, leaving my mark on the world. But now, I think it's about appreciating the small things, the moments that make you feel truly alive. He turned back to the twins, a gentle smile gracing his lips. Like sharing a meal with two beautiful aliens under the vastness of the night sky. Palia giggled, a light, tinkling sound that echoed through the clearing. You are quite the charmer, Justin. Guilty as charged, he replied with a wink. But seriously, I find purpose in protecting this little slice of paradise, in nurturing the land and helping it heal. And maybe, just maybe, in inspiring others to reconnect with the real world. Law remained silent for a moment, her violet eyes reflecting the dancing flames. Your ideals are admirable, she conceded. But I fear they are ultimately futile. The lure of virtual stasis is too strong. Your kind has already chosen its path. Justin shrugged, unfazed by her skepticism. Maybe. But I'm not one to give up without a fight. And who knows, he added with a playful grin, maybe you too will change your minds and join the resistance. He rose to his feet, stretching his arms above his head. All right, ladies, time for bed. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you something truly special. And what might that be? Palia asked, her curiosity piqued. A secret, Justin replied, his eyes twinkling mischievously. You'll just have to wait and see. He led them to a makeshift shelter he'd built near the edge of the meadow, a cozy structure made of woven branches and waterproofed with salvaged tarpaulins. Inside, he had arranged a bed of soft leaves and blankets. Not exactly the Hilton, he apologized, but it's comfortable enough. Law and Palia looked around the small space, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. It's rustic, Law observed diplomatically. Rustic chic, Justin corrected with a grin. Anyway, make yourselves at home. I'll be sleeping outside, under the stars. Don't want to crowd you. He bid them good night and retreated from the shelter, spreading his sleeping bag on a patch of soft grass. As he gazed up at the celestial tapestry above, he couldn't help but feel a sense of contentment. He had two beautiful alien women sleeping in his shelter, and he was about to show them the wonders of his world. Life was good. The morning sun streamed through the gaps in the shelter, waking Law and Palia from their slumber. They emerged into the meadow, blinking in the bright light, to find Justin already up and preparing breakfast. Morning, sleepyheads, he greeted them cheerfully. I hope you slept well. Reasonably so, Law replied, stretching her arms. Though I must confess, the bedding was not quite up to Zarian standards. Give it time, Justin chuckled. You'll get used to it. Now, how about some Earth-style breakfast? I've got some berry pancakes and fresh squeezed juice. The twins looked at the pancakes with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. What are these, berries? Palia asked hesitantly. Just try them, Justin urged. They're delicious. Law and Palia cautiously took a bite of the pancakes, their eyes widening in surprise. This is, surprisingly palatable, Law conceded. I told you, Justin said with a grin. Earth food is the best food. After breakfast, Justin led the twins on a hike through the surrounding wilderness. He showed them hidden waterfalls, ancient trees, and colorful wildflowers, explaining the intricate ecosystem of the forest. This is all fascinating, Law admitted. But I still fail to see the long-term value. Your planet is dying, Justin. This natural beauty will not last. Maybe not, Justin replied, his voice tinged with sadness. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't appreciate it while it's here. Besides, he added with a mischievous glint in his eyes, I have a surprise for you. He led them to a secluded clearing hidden deep within the forest. In the center of the clearing stood a small, dilapidated cabin, surrounded by a thriving vegetable garden. "What is this place?" Palia asked, her eyes wide with wonder. "This," Justin replied, "is where I come for peace." As they approached the cabin, a wizened old man emerged from the garden, his face etched with wrinkles and his eyes twinkling with wisdom. "Well, look what the cat dragged in," he said, his voice raspy with age. "Justin, you brought company. And not just any company, but—" He paused, studying the twins intently. "Visitors from the stars, if I'm not mistaken." Justin grinned. "La and Palia, meet Elder Rowan." "Rowan, these are my new friends from the Zarian Empire." Rowan nodded, his gaze unwavering. "Welcome to my humble abode. I am a simple man, who lives off the land, as it was intended." He gestured for them to enter the cabin. The inside was sparsely furnished but cozy, with a crackling fireplace and shelves filled with books and herbs. "Please, make yourselves comfortable," Rowan said. "Can I offer you some herbal tea?" As Rowan prepared the tea, he began to tell them stories of his life in the wilderness, of his deep connection to nature, and of his belief that humanity could still find a way to heal the planet. La and Palia listened intently, their initial skepticism slowly melting away. They were fascinated by Rowan's wisdom and his unwavering faith in the power of nature. As the day wore on, Justin and the twins helped Rowan tend to his garden, learning about the different plants and their medicinal properties. They felt a sense of peace and connection to the earth that they had never experienced before. As the sun began to set, Rowan turned to La and Palia, his eyes filled with a quiet intensity. "You have come to Earth seeking something," he said. "But perhaps what you seek is already within you. You must learn to listen to the whispers of the wild, to connect with the rhythm of the earth. Only then will you find your true purpose." La and Palia exchanged a meaningful glance. They knew that Rowan was right. They had been so focused on their dying civilization that they had forgotten to appreciate the beauty and wonder of the present moment. As they prepared to leave, Rowan gave them each a small pouch filled with seeds. "Plant these," he said. "Nurture them. And remember, even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for new life." As Justin led the twins back towards his camp, they walked in silence, their minds filled with Rowan's words. They knew that their journey on Earth was far from over. They had much to learn, and much to experience. Back at camp, Justin lit a campfire and they all sat around it telling stories and sharing their thoughts. "Elder Rowan is amazing," Palia said softly, gazing into the flames. "He has found a way to live in harmony with nature, even in this broken world." "He's a wise man," Justin agreed. "I've learned a lot from him over the years." La nodded, her expression thoughtful. "He spoke of finding our purpose. I confess, I'm not sure what that is anymore. Our empire is crumbling, our people are losing hope. I feel lost." Justin reached out and gently took her hand, his touch surprisingly warm and comforting. "You're not lost, La," he said softly. "You're just starting a new chapter. And I'm here to help you find your way." La looked up at him, her violet eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Justin," she whispered. "For everything." As the fire crackled and the stars twinkled above, the three of them sat in comfortable silence, each lost in their own thoughts. They were from different worlds, with different cultures and different experiences. But in that moment, they were united by a shared sense of hope, a belief that even in the face of despair, there was still beauty and meaning to be found in the world. And as they drifted off to sleep, they knew that their adventure on Earth was just beginning. La scrutinized Justin with an intensity that made him shift uncomfortably. "You truly believe this? Simple existence is preferable to the simulated perfection offered by virtual reality?" Justin met her gaze, his expression earnest. "It's not about perfection, La. It's about authenticity. It's about experiencing the world, flaws and all. feeling the pain, the joy, the connection to something real. Palia nodded slowly, her emerald eyes reflecting the firelight. I am beginning to understand, she said softly. In our world, emotions are suppressed, experiences are curated, and individuality is discouraged. It is sterile. Justin smiled gently. Exactly. That's why I'm so passionate about preserving this little corner of the world. It's a reminder that there's another way to live. As the evening drew to a close, they cleaned up the remnants of their meal and settled down for the night. The twins, still adjusting to the unfamiliar sensations of sleeping outdoors, found it difficult to relax. Justin, sensing their unease, offered to tell them a story. Back in the old days, he began, humans used to gather around campfires and tell tales of adventure, of heroes and villains, of love and loss. It was a way to connect with each other, to share their experiences and to learn from the past. He proceeded to weave a captivating narrative about a young woman who defied societal expectations to become a skilled explorer, traversing treacherous landscapes and facing formidable challenges. The twins listened intently, their imaginations sparked by Justin's vivid descriptions and engaging storytelling. By the time he finished, they were both completely engrossed in the story, their initial anxieties forgotten. As they drifted off to sleep, they couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder and excitement about the adventures that lay ahead. The next morning, Justin woke up early to prepare for their journey. He had decided to take the twins on a trip to the ruins of a nearby city, a place he had explored extensively over the years. He believed that it would provide them with a glimpse into the past and a deeper understanding of the choices that had led humanity to abandon the real world. Are you sure this is a good idea, Justin? La asked, her voice laced with concern. The cities are said to be dangerous, filled with scavengers and rogue robots. Don't worry, Justin assured her. I know how to handle myself. Besides, I want to show you something important. He led them through the overgrown forests and across winding streams, their path gradually leading them towards the towering silhouette of the city. As they approached the outskirts, the landscape began to change, the lush greenery giving way to crumbling concrete and rusted metal. The twins gasped in awe as they entered the city, their eyes darting from one decaying structure to another. Buildings that had once soared towards the sky were now hollow shells, their windows shattered and their walls covered in graffiti. Streets that had once teemed with life were now silent and deserted, save for the occasional gust of wind that whistled through the empty corridors. This is heartbreaking, Palia whispered, her voice filled with sorrow. To think that such grandeur could be reduced to this. It's a stark reminder of what happens when we lose sight of what truly matters, Justin replied grimly. When we prioritize comfort and convenience over connection and community. As they ventured deeper into the city, Justin pointed out various landmarks and shared stories about the people who had once lived there. He showed them the remnants of a bustling marketplace, a grand theater, and a peaceful park, each now bearing the scars of time and neglect. The twins listened attentively, their initial apprehension gradually giving way to a sense of fascination. They marveled at the ingenuity and creativity of the humans who had built this city, but they also felt a deep sadness for the lost potential and the wasted opportunities. As they rounded a corner, they came across a group of scavengers rummaging through the debris. The scavengers, a motley crew of ragged individuals, eyed them with suspicion. Well, a gruff voice said, look what we have here. Some out-of-towners come to gawk at our misery. Justin stepped forward, his expression firm. We're just passing through, he said. We don't want any trouble. The scavenger sneered. Trouble always finds those who come looking for it. And you, he said, his eyes fixed on the twins, you look like you're carrying something worth taking. Justin tensed, ready to defend his companions. But before he could react, La stepped forward, her azure skin glowing with an otherworldly light. We mean you no harm, she said, her voice resonating with an authority that belied her gentle demeanor. We seek only knowledge and understanding. The scavengers stared at her in stunned silence, their initial aggression fading away. The leader of the group lowered his weapon, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and respect. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "We are travelers," Law replied. "And we wish to learn from your experiences." The scavenger hesitated for a moment, then nodded slowly. "All right," he said. "I'm willing to talk. But first, you have to tell me who you really are." Justin breathed a sigh of relief. He had a feeling that Law's quick thinking had just saved them from a potentially dangerous situation. They followed the scavengers to their makeshift camp, a hidden enclave nestled within the ruins of a collapsed building. The camp was a chaotic mix of salvaged materials and makeshift shelters, but it was also a testament to the resilience and resourcefulness of the human spirit. As they settled around a crackling fire, the leader of the scavengers, a woman named Zara, began to share her story. She spoke of the challenges of surviving in the city, of the constant struggle for resources, and of the ever-present threat of violence. But she also spoke of the bonds of camaraderie that had formed between the scavengers, of their unwavering determination to protect each other, and of their hope for a better future. Law and Palia listened intently, their hearts touched by Zara's courage and her unwavering spirit. They realized that even in this desolate place, there was still beauty and meaning to be found. As the evening drew to a close, Zara turned to Justin, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you for bringing these visitors to our camp," she said. "They have reminded us that we are not alone, that there are others who care about our fate." Justin smiled gently. "We're all in this together, Zara," he said. "We have to support each other if we want to survive." Zara nodded, her expression thoughtful. "Perhaps you're right," she said. "Perhaps there is still hope for this world." As they prepared to leave, Zara offered them a parting gift, a small device that she claimed could be used to communicate with the outside world. "I found this a while back," she said, "but I never figured out how to use it. Maybe you can." Justin accepted the device with gratitude, his mind racing with possibilities. Could this be the key to contacting the Zarian Empire? Could they finally find a way to save Law and Palia's civilization? As they left the scavenger camp and ventured back into the city, Justin couldn't help but feel a sense of hope. He knew that the road ahead would be long and difficult, but he was determined to do everything in his power to help his new friends. As they walked, Palia suddenly stopped and turned to Justin. "What was the important thing you wanted to show us here in the city?" Justin smiled. "It wasn't a thing, Palia. It was a person." He gestured back in the direction of the scavenger camp. "It was Zara. She is a reminder that even in the darkest of times, humanity can still find a way to shine." La nodded slowly. "I understand," she said. "Thank you, Justin, for showing us the light." La's eyes narrowed slightly, her gaze intense. "What is it you hope to achieve by showing us this primitive way of life, Justin? Do you believe we will abandon our people, our responsibilities, for a handful of berries and a dip in a pond?" Justin sighed, running a hand through his hair. He had anticipated this skepticism, but it still stung. "I'm not trying to convince you to abandon anyone, La. I just want you to see that there's more to life than what you've been led to believe. That there's beauty and joy to be found even in the face of hardship." He paused, searching for the right words. "Your civilization may be dying, but that doesn't mean your lives have to end. You can choose to embrace a new beginning, to create something new from the ashes of the old." Palia reached out and gently touched Justin's arm, her emerald eyes filled with compassion. "We understand your intentions, Justin. And we are grateful for your hospitality. But the fate of our people rests on our shoulders. We cannot simply abandon them." Justin nodded slowly, acknowledging their commitment. "I respect that," he said. "But what if there was a way to help your people without sacrificing your own happiness? What if we could find a way to bridge the gap between your world and mine?" He gestured towards the device that Zara had given them, which he had been tinkering with throughout the evening. This communication device, it might be our only hope. If we can get it working, we might be able to contact the Zarian Empire and find a solution to your problems. La and Palia exchanged hopeful glances. Do you truly believe it is possible? La asked, her voice laced with anticipation. Justin grinned. I don't know, he admitted. But I'm willing to try. And with Zara's help, I think we might just have a chance. The next morning, they set off towards Zara's camp, their hearts filled with renewed hope. As they approached the city, they couldn't help but notice the ominous signs of an impending storm. Dark clouds gathered overhead, and the wind howled through the deserted streets, carrying with it the scent of rain. We need to hurry, Justin said, his voice grim. If this storm gets any worse, it could make the city impassable. They quickened their pace, their determination fueled by the urgency of their mission. As they reached Zara's camp, they found the scavengers huddled together, seeking shelter from the wind and rain. Justin! Zara exclaimed, her face lighting up with relief. I was worried about you. This storm is a bad one. We're here for your help, Zara, Justin said, holding up the communication device. We need to get this thing working. Zara examined the device with a practiced eye, her fingers deftly manipulating the wires and circuits. This is old tech, she said. But I think I can fix it. It'll take some time, though. And we'll need a power source. Justin nodded. I know where to find one, he said. There's an old power generator in the basement of the abandoned science lab on the other side of the city, which would be sufficient, if we can get to it. The rain was coming down harder now, blurring their vision and turning the streets into muddy rivers. Thunder boomed overhead, shaking the ground beneath their feet. It's too dangerous to go out there now, Zara protested. We'll have to wait until the storm passes. We don't have time to wait, Justin said, his voice filled with desperation. La and Palia's civilization is counting on us. He turned to the twins, his eyes pleading. Are you willing to risk it? La and Palia exchanged a meaningful glance. They knew that the storm posed a serious threat, but they also knew that this was their chance to make a difference. We will go, La said, her voice resolute. We cannot afford to delay any longer. Zara sighed, acknowledging their determination. All right, she said. But be careful. The city is even more dangerous in this weather. She handed them each a makeshift raincoat and a sturdy flashlight, and they set off into the storm. The journey to the science lab was fraught with peril. They had to navigate treacherous streets filled with debris, dodge falling objects, and wade through chest-deep floodwaters. The wind howled in their ears, making it difficult to hear each other, and the rain lashed at their faces, blinding them. Despite the challenges, they pressed on, their spirits buoyed by their shared purpose. Justin led the way, his knowledge of the city guiding them through the maze of streets and alleys. La and Palia followed close behind, their alien physiology surprisingly well suited to the harsh conditions. As they reached the science lab, they found the entrance blocked by a collapsed wall. They worked together to clear the debris, their muscles straining with effort. Finally, they managed to create a small opening, just big enough for them to squeeze through. They entered the lab, their flashlights illuminating the dark and dusty interior. The lab was a mess, filled with broken equipment, scattered papers, and overturned furniture. The air was thick with the smell of decay and mildew. They made their way down to the basement, their footsteps echoing through the silent corridors. As they reached the generator room, they found the door locked. Stand back, Justin said, pulling out a crowbar from his backpack. He wedged the crowbar into the door frame and pried with all his might. With a loud crack, the door splintered open. Inside the generator room, they found the power generator covered in dust and cobwebs. Justin examined it carefully, his expression hopeful. It looks like it's still in decent condition, he said. With a little bit of work, I think we can get it running. He set to work, cleaning the generator, replacing worn-out parts, and reconnecting wires. La and Palia assisted him, their knowledge of technology proving invaluable. After several hours of intense effort, the generator sputtered to life, its engine roaring through the lab. The lights flickered on, illuminating the room with a dim, yellowish glow. "We did it!" Justin exclaimed, his face beaming with triumph. "We got it working." La and Palia smiled, their hearts filled with relief. They had overcome the odds and found a way to power the communication device. Now, all that remained was to contact the Zarian Empire and hope for a miracle. As they made their way back to Zara's camp, the storm began to subside, the clouds parting to reveal a sliver of blue sky. It was as if the universe was acknowledging their efforts, offering them a glimmer of hope in the darkness. As the storm raged outside, Justin, La, Palia, and Zara huddled together in the scavenger camp, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of a makeshift lamp. Zara had managed to connect the communication device to the power generator, and now they were ready to attempt to contact the Zarian Empire. "Are you sure about this?" Zara asked, her voice filled with concern. "Once you send this message, there's no turning back." La and Palia exchanged a determined glance. "We have to try," La said. "Our people deserve to know the truth." Zara nodded, acknowledging their resolve. She activated the device, and a holographic screen flickered to life, displaying a series of complex symbols and equations. "All right," Zara said, "I've set the frequency to the Zarian communication network. It might take a while for the signal to reach them." They waited in tense silence, their eyes glued to the screen. Minutes turned into hours, but there was no response. "Maybe it's not working," Palia said, her voice filled with disappointment. "Maybe the signal is too weak." "Don't give up yet," Justin said, his voice firm. "We just need to be patient." Just as they were about to lose hope, the screen flickered again, and a voice crackled through the speakers. "This is the Zarian Council," the voice said, its tone cold and authoritative. "Identify yourselves." La stepped forward, her azure skin glowing with an otherworldly light. "This is La and Palia of the Zarian Empire," she said. "We are transmitting from the planet Earth." There was a moment of stunned silence, followed by a flurry of activity on the other end of the line. "La. Palia," the voice said, its tone softening slightly. "Is that really you? We thought you were lost." "We are alive," La replied. "But we have discovered something that you must hear." She proceeded to explain their experiences on Earth, describing the beauty of the natural world, the resilience of the human spirit, and the potential for a new beginning. She spoke of Justin and Zara, of their kindness and their unwavering commitment to helping others. As she spoke, the voice on the other end of the line grew increasingly agitated. "This is madness," the voice exclaimed. "You have been corrupted by these primitive humans. You must return to Zaria immediately." "We cannot return," Palia said, her voice filled with conviction. "Our place is here, on Earth. We believe that this planet holds the key to our salvation." The voice on the other end of the line grew cold and menacing. "If you refuse to return, you will be considered traitors to the Zarian Empire. You will be stripped of your titles and banished from our society." La and Palia exchanged a sad glance. They had known that this was a possibility, but it still hurt to hear the words spoken aloud. "We understand," La said, her voice filled with sorrow. "But we cannot betray our conscience. We must follow our hearts." The voice on the other end of the line fell silent, and the communication device went dead. La and Palia turned to Justin and Zara, their eyes filled with sadness. "We are outcasts now," La said. "We have been banished from our home." Justin reached out and gently took her hand, his touch warm and comforting. "You are not alone," he said. "You have us. And we will always be here for you." Zara nodded, her expression resolute. "We're all in this together," she said. "We'll figure out a way to make this work." As they looked at each other, they felt a sense of hope rekindle in their hearts. They had lost their connection to the Zarian Empire, but they had gained something even more valuable, a new family, a new purpose, and a new hope for the future. They spent the next few months working together, building a new community in the ruins of the city. Justin taught La and Palia how to cultivate the land, how to hunt and fish, and how to live in harmony with nature. Zara shared her knowledge of technology and engineering, helping them to build sustainable energy sources and communication systems. Slowly but surely, their community began to thrive. Other survivors emerged from the virtual world, drawn by the promise of a new life. They joined Justin, La, Palia, and Zara, bringing with them their own skills and experiences. The twins, no longer bound by the rigid constraints of their former society, blossomed in their new environment. They discovered hidden talents and passions, and they found joy in the simple act of living. One day, as they were tending to their garden, La turned to Justin, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you," she said. "You have shown us paradise." Justin smiled gently. "The paradise was here all along," he said. "You just needed to open your eyes and see it." As they looked out over their thriving community, they knew that they had created something special. They had built a new world from the ashes of the old, a world where humanity and nature could coexist in harmony, a world where everyone was welcome, regardless of their origins. And as the sun set on their new home, they knew that their adventure was just beginning. The seeds of tomorrow had been sown, and the future was theirs to create.